I have a glitch in the Matrix story for you. And I've got photos to prove it. This incident happened a few years ago. My boss was out antique shopping and she sent me a photo, which I'm going to show you here in a second, and a text. And the photo was inside the antique store. It was on a shelf. There was like picture frames and candles. You can see little price tags on them. And she just texted, "Is this you?" So I'm going to show you that photo right now. Now keep in mind, okay, I'm 43. This photo was in 2001. I was 19.
Hello everyone, my name is Lisa, and today's topic is a glitch in the Matrix. And before I get into today's topic, this is what I have for the mukbang portion of the video. So I have some beef bibimbap. It looks like this. Of course, I added some cheese and Kewpie mayo to it. And as a side, I have some kimchi and like pickled cucumber per usual. And for a beverage, I have some cotton candy soda. I've never tried this before, so that should be interesting. And then as a dessert, I have some like Oreo pepero. Okay, let's go. And go get a spicy snack and let's get into these spooky videos. And again, today's topic is a glitch in the Matrix. Alright, first video.
If you've never experienced a glitch in the Matrix, this is probably not the video for you, so just continue scrolling because you're going to think that I'm crazy. If you have experienced it, I want to know if anyone has experienced anything similar to this, especially from a young age. So I've had multiple glitches throughout my life, especially now that I've gotten older, I can understand what's happening. But this is, I want to talk about the very first one. The very first one that I can remember that I was like, am I crazy or are all of you crazy? So this is around 4th or 5th grade, elementary school. My grandma would pick me up from school 2 to 3 times a week. We were very close. My grandma lived like rock throwing distance from my house. So I would literally travel up the creek through the woods to my grandmother's house that I would go. I would spend all my time with my grandma. So after school, she would pick me up and we would go to Wendy's. That was our thing. We loved Wendy's. My grandma has very prominent blue eyes, like crystal clear. It's a very prominent feature about my grandma that she has very blue, piercing crystal blue eyes. So this one day, she picks me up. We go to Wendy's. We're sitting in the glass area. If you know Wendy's back then you know what I'm talking about. We're sitting there eating our fries, and I look up at my grandma, and my grandma has brown eyes. They're brown. Ooh. And so naturally, I was like, "Grandma, your eyes are brown." And she was like, "Yeah, Lauren, I have brown eyes." I was like, "Grandma, no, you don't. You have very blue eyes. What do you mean you have blue eyes?" And she was like, "No, Lauren, I have brown eyes." So whatever, we eat. She takes me home, and this is the whole thing. I talked to my mom, too, and I'm like, "Mom, Grandma has brown eyes." And my mom was like, "Yeah, Grandma has brown eyes." "No, she doesn't. She has blue eyes." "What do you mean she has brown eyes?" Like, everyone knows that Grandma has blue eyes, and everybody was making me believe that I was crazy. The next time that I see my grandma, 3 days later, my grandma has blue eyes again. So, of course, I'm like, "Grandma, your eyes are blue. Why are your eyes blue?" And she's like, "Yeah, Lauren, I have blue eyes. What do you mean?" "What do you mean? What do I mean? We just had this conversation 3 days ago when you had brown eyes and I told you that you have blue eyes and you're telling me that you have brown eyes, but I know that you have blue eyes, and now that you have blue eyes again, you're telling me that you know you have blue eyes? I'm not crazy. This was not a dream. I did not dream this. This happened. This was reality. I mean, it was like Monday on Thursday. Now you have blue eyes again?" Like, I did not make this up. This is still with me to this day. I think about this to this day. My grandma had brown eyes that day that I went to Wendy's with her after school. I didn't make that shit up. Like, that was reality. I didn't miss a day. Like, this happened. Has anybody else ever experienced anything like that? With people's eyes changing colors? And they fully believe that their eyes were a different color. I'll never forget that.
I want to hear all of your glitch in the matrix, unexplainable, weird stories, because they are fascinating to me. And we can make this a series. This can be episode 1 because I have plenty of them. This one's my mom's. She was driving from Atlanta to North Carolina. It's the middle of the night. She's on the phone with my grandma, and my grandma is helping her over maps, Google Maps, because my mom was running out of gas and she was panicking a little bit because she was in the middle of fucking nowhere, okay? Finally, over the hill, she sees a lit up, beautiful gas station. So she pulls in, she pumps her gas, uses her card, and then she goes to walk in to pee before she leaves. So she's walking towards the door, and as she gets to the door, her mom called her and goes, "You ran out of gas, didn't you?" And my mom's like, "No, I'm at a gas station. Is my car, do you not see it?" She said, "No, your car's like parked in the middle of nowhere. Where are you?" And she said, I'm at a gas station." And as she's saying that, she goes to pull the door, and it's locked. And she looks up, and there's a close sign, and she was like, "Oh, I just got gas, that's weird." She turns around, everything's dark. No lights on, no people, no cars, bars on the windows, boarded up windows, a completely abandoned gas station. It makes me want to throw up thinking about it. So of course, like any normal human, my mom's like, I've lost my mind, or I've fallen into a different dimension. She speeds off, gets on the interstate, completely weirded out, looks at her gas tank, her gas is full. She got gas at this non-existent gas station. It's not on her credit card history, nothing. They go back, look on maps, there's no gas station there. Never figured it out. It's been years.
All right, so I figured I would jump on this little trend and share my glitch in the matrix story. And I kind of want to get your guys' opinions and see if this was like really something supernatural or if it was just a coincidence. I don't know. So I have this ring that I got from my grandma when she passed away. It's nothing like, it's not a super expensive ring. It's just silver and turquoise. We got it in Arizona. I think when we were there on vacation when I was younger, but I absolutely love this ring. It's, reminds me of her, reminds me of our vacations we used to take. So a few years ago, we were at the Garment District in LA, me and my husband and my in-laws shopping. And if you know the Garment District or the Fashion District, it's super busy. It's a ton of stores packed into like one area. Like it's a few blocks, but there's just a ton of chaos and just people around and shops and vendors and food. It's a busy place. So we were there shopping, walking around, and I went to use the restroom. And when I came out of I washed my hands in the restroom after I was done, and then there was no paper towels. So when I walked out of the restroom, your hands are kind of wet. I kind of went like this. And as soon as I went like this, I heard this, I felt the ring fly off my finger. And when you hear the noise of like metal hitting the ground, like bouncing, that's the noise I could hear as it was like bouncing down the sidewalk. But I was on an upper level. So I think it fell down and fell down another level because I seriously felt this ring fly off my finger. I could hear it. We were looking for hours for it, walking around, searching, asking people if they had found the ring. I was looking for it. I was devastated. I was just crying because this, I don't know, my grandma passed away. She was really special to me, and this ring means a lot to me. So to lose it, I was so sad. And my fingers are fat, so it doesn't just come off my hand. It takes effort for it to come off. So for it to slide off or fly off that easy, I was upset. So, I fast forward a couple days, I'm sad. I'm kind of looking for a replacement ring, trying to find one with the same kind of turquoise. And I decide to make my bed and wash my sheets. And as soon as I take my pillows off my bed, this ring, I'm not kidding, was sitting underneath my pillows, just tucked under my pillows in my bed. How did that happen? My mind is still blown because I don't even understand like how this ring I lost in LA a few days later was under my pillow at home. Like, did it come off and I just didn't realize it? But I wear this ring every day. If it wasn't on my finger, I would know. Like, you can just tell when something isn't on your finger. And I know I felt it fly off my finger when I shook my hands. So, I don't know. But let me know what your opinions are or what you think. Because that, yeah, it still blows my mind to this day.
Very spooky.
It feels like there's been an uptick in the number of people reporting odd, glitchy moments that they're experiencing in everyday life. And these occurrences aren't odd enough to make them feel like their entire life is altered, but they are weird enough to make them go like, wait, what just happened? And I have my own theories on what's going on. Like the CERN particle accelerator has been in the news a lot lately. And officially, this is just to understand physics. They're smashing particles together at nearly the speed of light to understand the original conditions of the universe. But unofficially, people are reporting weird things happening. I could be way, way off, okay? But I do want to share a story with you that was submitted to Spook Scary Storytime from someone named Marshall who says he had one of these experiences recently. Last month, he was traveling for work, and he says he travels pretty frequently, and he stays at a hotel. But even though what happened was small, it was just so unsettling that he can't stop thinking about it and thinks that maybe this community can help weigh in and explain something to him. So he says that he was traveling, and he normally has this bag that he packs, and he brings on all his work trips. And in this bag is a can of this body spray that he uses all the time. Brand loyalist and says that this is the product that he always uses. And he had one can that was about half full. So he packs it and he goes on this trip. And when he checks into his hotel, he notices the hotel smells a little bit musty. So he decides he's going to take out his body spray and he's going to spray the fabrics in the room. So the curtains, the bed, and even the air conditioning vent, just to make the room smell a little bit better. And after he does this, he places the can of the body spray on the writing desk. After he does this, he returns to his suitcase to sort of unpack his clothes for the couple days that he's going to be staying in this hotel. And he taking his toiletries and his clothes out from the suitcase, and he notices there's another can of the same body spray in his suitcase, and he's like, that's weird, I don't remember buying a second one, and I just packed this bag. I only had one. But he's like, maybe it just slipped, maybe it was here from the last trip. I don't know. He's not really thinking too much of it because he's like, again, it's not that weird. He takes it out, it's a new can, it's full, and he just places it next to the original can that he brought, the half full one. He goes about his day. The next morning hits, he wakes up, he showers, and he goes over to the body sprays and he picks up the newer can to use it. He sprays himself and immediately notices that the smell is off because, again, he uses this every day. He's a brand loyalist and he knows what this product smells like. So he looks at the bottom of the can thinking maybe it's an old can that he just forgot in his suitcase from an old trip, even though he doesn't know how he missed it. And he looks at the expiration date and he realizes that the manufacturing date is actually 2 days in the future. Is also coincidentally the day he's supposed to catch his return flight home. So he puts it down. He's like, that's weird. That must have been a misprint. What? He picks up the other can, the half full one, and he looks at the manufacturing date. It's from like November of last year. Sprays that can on himself and it's normal. It smells fine. So he's like, okay, this must be just like a bad batch or whatever. Puts it back on the table. Doesn't think anything of it. Later, his coworker comes to his room. They're getting ready to go to a meeting or a conference or something. And his coworker even comments on the two cans. And he's like, oh, you really must like the scent. Is that why you always smell so good or whatever? And Marshall's like, oh yeah. And then he kind of just gives him a rundown. He's like, it's weird. Like they actually don't smell the same. Like smell them. He only brings this part of the story up to give credit to the fact that somebody else witnessed there being 2 cans of this body spray because there was a conversation had about it and he didn't just somehow imagine the whole thing. So Sunday night comes, it's time to pack up because he's got a return flight in the morning and he goes through his room like with a fine-tooth comb. He says he's used to business travel, so he knows how to go and make sure that he's got everything. And one of the last things that he packs is these 2 cans of body spray. And he puts both of them into his suitcase next to each other on top of all his clothes. It's back home. He's not working the next day. He starts unpacking his suitcase. He opens it up. The suitcase is still locked. There's no TSA labels on it or anything to indicate that anyone has gone through his bag. Nothing is missing, except now there's only 1 can of body spray on top of his clothes. Also pointed out that his suitcase was a lock suitcase. It was not the combination kind. So if TSA had gone through his suitcase, they would have had to break the lock. It bothered him so much that this other can was missing, but nothing else in his suitcase was missing, that he actually called the hotel to see if he had left anything. We're like, no, we didn't find anything. And he was like, okay. And he said, I know that this was such a small and inconsequential event, but it's been bothering me since the day that it happened, considering I planned to bring the second can. I have no idea where that second can came from. And the manufacturing date was 2 days in the future, so the day that I returned home, which is when it also went missing. He sent this in to see if anyone can make sense of this. He's like, what do you all think happened? Because I have no explanation.
I have a glitch in the Matrix story for you. And I've got photos to prove it. This incident happened a few years ago. My boss was out antique shopping, and she sent me a photo, which I'm going to show you here in a second, and a text. And the photo was inside the antique store. It was on a shelf. There was like picture frames and candles. You can see little price tags on them. And she just texted, is this you? So I'm going to show you that photo right now. Now keep in mind, okay, I'm 43. This photo was 2001, I was 19. Okay, so it's a big coincidence that a photo of me from 24 years ago is in an antique shop that somebody I know happens to pass through. That's not even the glitch part of it. I have the original photo. I took that photo at Sears Portrait Studio in 2001. My grandparents, that's all they wanted for Christmas was just a really nice photo. I didn't have a lot of money, so I only bought one page, so it had one like large size photo and then a couple wallets. The photo at the antique shop is different. Okay, obviously it's black and white. Not only that, but the pose is different. That's the crazy part, is how did this photo manifest into existence? Sure, Sears could have taken one of the extra poses and printed it in black and white, but why? And let's say that Sears had printed it out, how would it remain in fucking circulation for 24 years? Just a little bit of context, both my parents and my grandparents, they all died years before the antique shop incident. More context, the city that the photo was taken, the city that I lived in, the city that the antique shop was in, the city that my grandparents live in a different state. Those are all different cities. Okay, the big question remains, what the fuck did my boss do with the photo? Did she ask questions? She asked the guy at the counter. Apparently the antique shop has little sections inside. They're like leased out to people who sell their antiques there in their little section. So he didn't have any information on who put the photo there, why it was there, or where they got it. I was mostly pissed off that she left me there in an ugly ass frame. I'm joking, but also not joking. She said she went to a bunch of different antique shops and she didn't remember exactly which one that it was in. And I went searching for that photo, and unfortunately, I never found it. The mystery remains unsolved. It's gotta be some sort of glitch in the Matrix, but I'm gonna put those two photos side by side and you can let me know what you think.
Ooh. All right, write me a comment. Tell me your glitch in the Matrix stories.
Weirdest thing just happened to me. I did this puzzle back at home in Jersey before I moved to the city. I wanted to frame it as decor because look how beautiful she is. It took me days to finish, mostly because a large portion is like one color. Once I finished, I realized there was one piece missing. Like, of course, I searched high and low for this piece. I looked in every crack, crevice, crease in my room to find this missing piece, but she was nowhere to be found. So I realized it might be like a manufacturing issue. But I framed it anyway because I decided to use it as a metaphor. Life is never complete. There's always room for growth, and perfection is never the goal. The other night, I left my apartment for a bit, and then when I came back, I tossed my keys on my bed. And when I picked them up, the missing piece was under my keys. I was like, what? I was perplexed. Like, I thought this was a glitch in the Matrix, parallel universe, timeline jumping, whatever. I was like, I did this puzzle in a completely different state. How does it appear beneath my keys in New York after all that moving, everything? I just don't understand it. I'm so happy and excited that I can finally finish this, but like, what the heck? I need to know if anyone else has experienced any glitch in the Matrix things. So let me know your stories because I'm genuinely curious about this topic.
Okay, I have to talk fast because I have to fit this all into one video, and this is going to be weird. It's been 37 years in the making, and I need to know what it means, okay? For 37 years, there has been a person who has existed on the periphery of my life. I don't know if he's a non-playable character. I don't know what he is, but this is the story of me and this boy. We'll call him Steve. I start preschool when I'm 3 years old. I go to preschool. There's this boy in my class named Steve. We go to preschool together. In kindergarten, we go to kindergarten together, okay? It's not that weird. There's multiple kindergartens in this town, in the city that we lived in. It wasn't that strange, right, to end up at the same kindergarten. We're in the same class in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, but something happens in 2nd grade, okay? In 2nd grade, my family moved from New York to Michigan. We moved away. I was a new kid in second grade. I start my new class. A couple months later, in my new second grade class in a new state, my teacher says, "Hey kids, we're getting a new kid." Guess who the kid is? Guess who it is? It's Steve. Steve comes walking in. I'm like, weird, Steve. Did your family move here too? He's like, yep, sure did. Weird. So in second, third, and fourth grade, we're in the same class. In fifth grade, my parents switched houses in the same town that we lived in, but it was a big city, so we had to switch schools again. Thanks for that, Mom and Dad. So I'm a new kid, right? In fifth grade, starting on the first day, and my teacher's like, hey, there's another kid who also went to your old school. He's in the other class. Guess who it is? It's Steve. It's Steve again. Switched schools with me. Again. In seventh grade, after we had been to the same middle school together as well, we moved back to New York, to a different town than we originally lived in. Okay, and I start there, and we moved in the middle of the year again. Thanks, Mom and Dad. And so it's like November. I moved there in May of that year. Our teacher's like, "Hey, we have a new kid shadowing. He's also from Michigan, where you just came from. Guess who it is? It's freaking Steve. It's Steve again. His family also moved back to New York, to the same weird random town that we lived in. Okay, now's where the weird coincidences come. We go off to college. In 2004, I'm studying abroad my junior year in Madrid. It was 2004, so the Yankees and the Red Sox World Series thing was happening. There was a sports bar in Madrid that aired all of the games for Americans. I had my bucket of Corona in front of me because, of course, Americans. And in walks Steve to this bar. Steve came into this bar to also watch the Yankees and the Red Sox. He wasn't studying abroad in Madrid. He was studying abroad in London, right? Weird. He ended up at the same bar. We can explain that away. Again, Steve and I, not friends, not enemies. We just coexist. In December of that same year, my friends and I, who were studying in Madrid, decided to go to Prague to see it. To see Prague at Christmas time. We're supposed to go on a pub crawl. We missed that pub crawl. We decide to go on our own pub crawl. We end up in a random Irish pub in the middle of Prague. Who's there? Who's there sitting at a table? Steve. Steve's sitting at a table. He also went to Prague at Christmas time, and we happen to be at the same bar at the same time. Now this morning I'm in the coffee room at work. I have a coworker who's talking about her fiance. I'm not friends with this girl. I barely know this girl. She mentions, oh, my fiance's Steve. And I go, excuse me, what's your fiance's last name? I felt like Brad Pitt with the box. What's in the box? What's in the box? What's his last name? Guess who it is? Guess who it is? It's Steve. It's the same Steve. What does it mean?
I had a glitch in the Matrix story. So just listen while I pack eggs because it's insane and it happened today. So I bought a house in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing around me. This is relevant. So I leave today to run to the grocery store real fast to get something for dinner. And I pull out of my driveway. I go to the end of the road, and when I get up to the end of the road, the car that turns the corner to come down my road, passing me, is my old self. In my old car. It's me. What is that? So when this happens, I have this flash of a memory of me getting lost out here when I was younger. I didn't know where I was, and at the time, cell phones didn't have GPS on them. I never had GPS in a car. And I was lost out here, and I drove down this road. Like, what? And this is the middle of the day. I'm not tired. This wasn't a hallucination or like some strong memory that happened. And I was just like, it became real. No, this happened. It was a glitch that it's just so insane. I don't know what that was about. It freaked me out. I saw myself. It was me in my old car. And it was me in my old car before I hit a deer in it eventually, because then I got a car after that. So like, what was that? So does that mean it makes it true that all of our worlds are happening at the same time? Like, what does that mean? I'm so confused. I'm packing eggs. I have people coming to get eggs from me, and I'm just contemplating what happened. It's absolutely insane. Like, I've been off for a few days. I've gotten good sleep. It has nothing to do with anything like that. This happened, and it's absolutely crazy. So I don't know if you guys had similar things happen to you, but this is absolutely crazy.
In 2012, someone went on Reddit and asked people to share their personal glitch in the Matrix stories. A glitch in the Matrix story is any story where something totally unusual happens that doesn't have a logical explanation. So these are true stories, or at least purported to be true. They're first-hand accounts, and they're very popular on Reddit. And so this particular query on Reddit got very popular. It went totally viral. And so there were thousands and thousands of stories commented down below. So lots of people gave their glitch in the Matrix story. Now, the top comments, so the top stories that were given, were really, really interesting. But by far, the best response, the best glitch in the Matrix story, got no attention at all. It was buried at the bottom of 14,000 plus comments. This story, which was written by a person who just went by Sarah X11, should have gone completely viral. It should have been the top comment by far. But for whatever reason, it wasn't. And so now, 10 years later, no one really knows about it. While we don't know for sure if Sarah X11's story is true, as it is just an unverified first-hand account, what we do know is that this was the first story that Sarah X11 had ever posted to Reddit about glitches in the Matrix. The majority of her Reddit activity consisted of liking cute pictures of cats and dogs. So this person, this user, was not on Reddit for clout. Also, when Sarah X11 posted her story in this Reddit thread, there were already thousands and thousands of comments posted. So if they were trying to get recognized through this story, they chose the worst post to do it on. If you want to get recognized in a comment section and be a top comment, typically you have to be one of the very first comments after this thing gets posted. And so she's posting after thousands and thousands of people have done this. So in my mind, it seems like this post by Sarah X11, this story, has got to be true. And even if it isn't true, it's one of the coolest stories I've come across on the internet that is guaranteed to give you goosebumps. Okay, here we go. In 2006, a 20-year-old woman named Sarah started having some very strange dreams about a woman named Aurora. She had a very striking face with sharp features and long black hair. Now, her dreams varied. Sometimes Sarah was in a crowd of people, or she was at her office, or she was just alone in a room. But in all of her dreams, Aurora would always show up. Either she would interact with Aurora and they would speak, but Sarah could never remember what they actually spoke about, or Aurora would just be in the crowd or in the background just watching Sarah. Now, she had these dreams enough that eventually Sarah began to think, I must know someone named Aurora. I must have come across this person, and now they're just kind of manifesting in my brain at night when I'm sleeping. And so she began going through her older posts on social media to look in pictures of her and of her friends to see if there was a woman with striking features and long black hair that was this Aurora person in her dream. But after looking through hundreds and hundreds of pictures, she couldn't find any indication that she had met this person, at least not according to her social media. And so Sarah began just going on Google and typing in Aurora, long black hair, striking features. Has anybody dreamed about this? To see if there were people talking about having this type of dream on the internet. But she had no luck. Eventually, after about 3 or 4 months of having these strange dreams that Aurora was in, Aurora stopped showing up in Sarah's dreams. It was like it suddenly was all over. And so very quickly, Sarah just kind of forgot about it. A few years later, on Halloween night 2009, Sarah and a friend pulled off the highway into a gas station. They had been out with some friends celebrating Halloween, and now they were making their way back home. Sarah pulled into an empty spot right in front of the convenience store, and after they were parked, Sarah and her friend got out, they went inside, they got some snacks and drinks, and then they came back outside and climbed back into Sarah's car. A few moments later, Sarah had turned her car on, she had backed out, and she had driven past all of the gas station pumps, and she was making her way towards the single-lane strip of road that merged out onto the highway. It was how anybody who got into this gas station got back out onto the highway. And so as she's getting closer to the entrance of this short merge road, her phone suddenly rings. What happens next occurred over a span of just a few seconds. So it might seem like this is over several minutes, but this all happened pretty much simultaneously. So she's pulling up to the entrance of this merge road. Her cell phone rings, and because there was no one behind her, it was not a busy night, Sarah decides to just stop her car, put it in park so she can safely take this phone call. And so she stops her car pretty much right in front of the entrance to this merge road, and she picks up her phone, she looks at the number, and she doesn't recognize it, but she picks it up anyways, and she says, "Hello." There was silence on her phone, and as Sarah is saying, "Hello, is anybody there?" another car from the gas station pulls up right behind Sarah's car, and they start honking their horn immediately. They're in a huge rush. And so Sarah, who's totally embarrassed that she's blocking traffic, she hangs up the phone, she puts it down, she puts her car back in drive, and she hits the gas. But this driver behind her is apparently in such a rush, they're so impatient, that they actually swerved around her, driving on the dirt off to the side of the road just to get around her, and then they sped off down the merge road back onto the highway. And literally, seconds later, another car that was already on the highway, a silver Honda Civic, lost control and smashed into this car that had just passed Sarah's car. So there's this huge car accident literally right in front of Sarah and her friend, who have now stopped the car. They're right at the end of the merge road looking at this horrible accident that they narrowly escaped. Sarah put her car back in park, she picked up her phone, and she called the police. When the police showed up a few moments later, they took down Sarah and her friend's version of events, and then a little while later, after the ambulances had left and after the two cars had been pulled off of the highway, one of the police officers pulled Sarah aside and told her that the driver of the Honda Civic and the driver of the car that had swerved around her had both been killed in the accident. Shocked, the only thing Sarah could think to do was to call back that number she didn't recognize that had effectively stopped her from getting onto the highway and maybe even stopped her from being hit by that Honda Civic. And so she wanted to talk to this person and thank them for saving her life. But when she called the number back, the person did not pick up. However, it went to her voicemail, and it said, "Hi, you've reached Aurora. Leave your name and number after the beep." Sarah could not believe it. She said she had never felt goosebumps like that in her entire life. The next day, Sarah tried calling the number again, and this time the woman, Aurora, answered the phone. The two got to talking, and Sarah explained her crazy dreams and now this crazy car crash thing and how it's all connected. And Aurora would tell Sarah, like, "That's amazing. This is a crazy story you're telling me, except I didn't call you last night. I have no idea how you got my phone number." And so at the end of this phone call, the two women really had not reached any sort of explanation for how this came to be, how they came to be talking. But they ultimately just said, "Okay, hey, thanks and best of luck to you." And then they hung up. After the call was over, Sarah found herself just kind of sitting there, not really sure how to react to what had just happened. It was such a totally bizarre thing that she had just been through over the past 24 hours. And then if you include the dream, this has been a multi-year long thing. And so on a whim, Sarah just opens up her Facebook account and she plugs in Aurora's full name, because Aurora had given her full name on this phone call they had just had. And when she looked at her phone, when the results came in, Sarah nearly fainted. Right at the top of the results page was this woman, Aurora's Facebook account, and her profile picture showed her face. And when Sarah looked at her face, it was the exact same face she had seen so many times in her dreams. It was the same Aurora with the striking features and long black hair. The woman in her dreams was the woman who called her and saved her life.
Okay, one more video for today.
Okay, so I have a glitch in the Matrix story. It's crazy. 10 years ago, I was dating this guy. And, we made plans for him to come over one evening because my daughter was going to be away at a friend's house. She was going to stay the night at her friend's, and it was just me and my daughter. So I'm going to be home alone. I make these plans. I'm like, whatever, come over at whatever time. And before he got there, I wanted to take a quick bath. So I'm in the bathtub. He texts that he's going to be there in 5-10 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I got to make it quick, whatever. So I'm in the bathtub and I hear his truck on the road in front of my house. And I literally hear it pull in the driveway. There was, my driveway was gravel. So I hear him pull in, right? And then I hear my door open. Now I had left it unlocked, but I like closed it. So in order to open it, you literally have to turn the handle and push it. So anyway, I hear that happen. I hear the door handle turn. Like, it even had like a noise. Like, I don't know, it was just like an old door, whatever, it had a noise. And I hear the noise of the, the doorknob turning and the door push open. But then I don't hear anything else. And I'm like, hey, like I'm in the bathtub, I'll be out in a minute. Just wait for me in the living room, whatever. So I start to get out, I start to get like ready. And then I hear his truck again. And I'm like, what? I don't understand. Like, what? Okay, that's weird. And I'm like, whatever, I'm, getting ready, getting dressed, whatever. And like, I hear the screen door chink, chink, like, I don't know, whatever noise that makes. And I literally hear him boom, 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 walk up the steps. And I'm like, a little weirded out, but I'm, I kind of yell out the same thing, like, hey, like, wait for me in the living room, like, I'll be out, whatever. So as I'm getting ready, I sort of put that out of my head because like I'm focused on like getting ready. And I go out to the living room. I'm like, hey, like, thanks for, I'm so happy to see you, whatever. And I was like, hey, weird question. When you got here, was the door closed? Like the, actual door, not the screen door. I'm like, was the actual back door closed? He was like, no, it was open. I just had to open the screen door. And my eyes went wide and I had this wave of terror come over me. And I was like, somebody is in the house. We gotta go check. I'll take the downstairs. You check up here, whatever. So I run down the basement steps and I'm checking in all the nooks and crannies. I don't see anybody. I hear him upstairs walking around, checking rooms, whatever. So I come padding back up the basement steps and I see him in the hallway and I'm going to try to like reenact what he looked like. He was like this, like just like freaking out. Like he looked white, like he couldn't talk. And I'm like, what did you find? Like, what's going on? And he's like, where were you? And I was like, I was in the basement. He was like, the whole time you were in the basement. You just came up. I'm like, yes, what is going on? He goes, I just saw you walk into your bedroom and I thought it would be funny to come up from behind you and scare you. I saw you crouch down as if you were looking under the bed for something or somebody, because we were checking for intruders. He goes, I saw you crouch down and I started to come up like to scare you. Then I hear you walking up the basement steps. My head turns, I turn back. Ooh. The you that I saw is gone. And now you're here. And what the hell just happened? And so we were actually really freaked out. Like we were so creeped out. And then I proceeded to tell him about, I heard your truck, like driving around my house, come up the driveway. I heard the doorknob go and the door open. What? And then I heard you again. I heard you arrive again. Whatever, it was like 3 or 4 minutes after that, in between the arrival of the first, I don't know, doppelganger. I don't know. And then when he actually arrived, and we actually slept in the living room that night because we were so freaked out, not only by me hearing him arrive, but he actually didn't arrive, and then him seeing my doppelganger. We were freaked. We were freaked. So that's my my glitch in the Matrix story. I've never had anything happen like that since, and I had never had anything happen like that before. It was just weird.
Wow. Okay, thank you very much for joining me today. Write me a comment, tell me your glitch in the Matrix stories, or tell me your family member's story or friends. I don't have a story like this, so I'm actually jealous. Okay, stay spooky, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!